Understand Noryang, you have to understand what Korea had already survived. April 1592. Hideyoshi Toyotomi, freshly finished uniting Japan, orders 158,000 troops across the Tsushima Strait. His goal is not Korea. His goal is Beijing. Korea is the road. Within 3 weeks, Kanishi Yukonaga's 1st Division has taken Seoul. Kato Kiyamasa's 2nd Division is chasing the Korean king to the Yalu River. Land campaign, near total Japanese victory. At sea, the picture is different. The left naval commander of Jeolla Province, Yesun-sin, has been quietly redesigning his fleet. Reinforced hulls, iron plating on the upper deck of a new class of vessel, the Geobuxian or turtle ship, multi-tiered cannon, disciplined drills nobody else is running. Between May and October 1592, he fights 10 separate engagements. He loses none. At Hansando in August, he destroys 47 Japanese ships and captures 12 more in a single afternoon. By 1593, the Japanese land advance is stalling. Ming reinforcements under Li Rusong push south. A shaky truce holds for 3 years. Then in 1597, Hideyoshi launches the second invasion. And this is where the story turns on a knife's edge. Court intrigue in Seoul strips Yi of his command. He is imprisoned, tortured, demoted to common soldier. His replacement, Won Jaeun, sails the entire Korean fleet, 134 ships, into a trap at Chilchiliang in July 1597. Only 13 ships escape. The court, terrified, reinstates Yi. He arrives to find those 13 ships and erect morale. 2 months later at Myeongyang with those 13 ships, he ambushes a Japanese fleet of 133 in a tidal choke point and destroys at least 31 of them. His own losses, 0 ships sunk. But that was only the opening move. What happened next defied every rule of naval warfare because in September 1598, Hideyoshi Toyotomi died in his palace at Fushimi and his council of regents issued a secret order. Bring the army home, all of it, quietly. If this is landing, save this video. You will want to come back to this one. Here is what the history books tend to skim over. The Japanese did not want a last battle. They wanted a quiet exit. And they almost got one. The southernmost Japanese army under Kanishi Yukonaga, around 13,700 men, was garrisoned at Uijo, a Japanese-style fortress at Suncheon on the south coast. Kanishi was Christian, cunning, and pragmatic. He had negotiated during the truce years. He knew how to bribe. Blocking his sea escape were 2 fleets working together. The Ming Southern Fleet under Chen Lin, roughly 300 warships and around 19,000 sailors, and the Korean Fleet under Yesun-sin, now rebuilt to around 80 warships. This joint force set up a naval blockade around Suncheon in October 1598. Kanishi tried the oldest trick in the book. He sent Chen Lin gifts, silver, silk, swords, a polite request, just let a few messenger boats through. Chen Lin, according to Korean records, was tempted. Yesun-sin was not. When Chen wavered, Yi reportedly said, as recorded in the Nanjung Ilgi, his war diary and Ming dispatches, that a general who let the enemy home for a bribe had no face to return to his sovereign. Chen backed down. Kanishi tried once more. He asked for permission to send a single signal boat out to say goodbye to his fellow commanders. Yi refused. Chen, to his credit, refused too. But Kanishi had already sent the signal. Somehow, through smugglers, through fishermen, through Korean turncoats, a message reached Shimazu Yashihiro at Sashin Fortress, roughly 50 kilometers east along the coast. Shimazu was one of the most feared samurai commanders of his generation. He had bloodied the Ming at the Battle of Sashin just weeks earlier, and now he was being asked to break the blockade and rescue Kanishi. Shimazu assembled a relief fleet. Sources vary. Korean records say around 500 ships. Japanese sources place it closer to 300 to 500. Most modern historians settle around 500 vessels of mixed type, from Adakbune warships to smaller Sekibune and light transports. Somewhere between 15,000 and 20,000 troops aboard. It would sail west, break through the narrow waters between Namhe Island and the mainland, the Noryang Strait, cross to Suncheon, extract Kanishi, and go home. Yesun-sin got word of the assembling fleet on November 18, 1598. He did the one thing Shimazu did not expect. He left the blockade at Suncheon in place with a token Ming force and moved his main strength east to meet the rescue fleet head-on in the strait at night before it could deploy. Stay with me. The moment that shocked even the enemy commanders is coming next. Late night, November 18 into the early morning hours of November 19, 1598. The Noryang Strait is roughly 700 meters wide at its narrowest. Cold water, strong tidal currents, a dark moon. Yi and Chen Lin split their force. Chen Lin's Ming fleet, heavier ships, more sailors, took the northern approach. Yesun-sin's Korean fleet took the southern approach, positioning to sweep down the strait itself. Fireships and cannon-armed Panixian in the front, turtle ships behind. Total joint allied strength, roughly 150 warships engaged, though Ming logistics vessels swelled the number. Around 2 in the morning, Shimazu's fleet entered the strait from the east, moving in column. They did not expect ambushes at night. Naval battles in this period were almost always daylight fights. The Koreans opened at close range with cannon, Chinya, Jija, and Hyonya-class guns firing iron shot and incendiary Dijian arrows. Fire arrows lit up Japanese decks. Within the first hour, dozens of Japanese ships were burning. The Ming fleet closed from the north, launching their own fire pots and boarding actions. Then came Shimazu's mistake. Instead of turning and running with the surviving ships, he pressed forward, hoping to punch through and reach Suncheon. The Allied fleet folded around him. What had been a running engagement in a strait became a knife fight in a cove, Guinumpo, a small inlet on the northern shore of Namhe Island, where the Japanese ships were funneled and pinned. Chen Lin's flagship pushed too far in and was surrounded. Boarders swarmed the deck. According to both Ming and Korean records, Yi Sun-sin personally led his flagship through Japanese ships to reach Chen Lin, breaking the encirclement. Chen Lin later said in a report to the Ming court that he had saved his life. And then at dawn, the moment. Yi Sun-sin was on the command deck of his flagship, personally beating the war drum to signal the pursuit. A Japanese musket ball and arquebus round, most likely fired from a nearby sekibune, struck him in the left armpit in the gap between armor plates. The wound was mortal. He knew it immediately. According to the Nanjung Ilgi and the account preserved by his nephew Yuan, the admiral gave his last order in a low voice. The battle is at its height. Beat the drum, do not announce my death. Yuan and a small handful of officers took the body inside. Yuan put on his uncle's armor. He kept beating the drum. The fleet did not know. Chen Lin did not know. The battle continued. By full daylight, the Japanese fleet was broken. Estimates from Ming, Korean, and Japanese sources placed Japanese losses at roughly 200 ships destroyed and around 100 captured. Somewhere between 100 and 150 ships escaped east with Shimazu, badly damaged. Japanese casualties are estimated in the thousands. Allied casualties were significant but nowhere near comparable. Only when the last Japanese ship had fled did Yuan lower the drum. Chen Lin, coming alongside to congratulate his friend, was told the truth. Ming records, including Chen Lin's own dispatches, describe the moment. Chen Lin collapsed on the deck. He wept, they say, 3 times. That is the moment. And it is also the answer to one of the questions I asked you earlier. He hid his death because he knew, with the ruthless clarity of a commander who had studied every failure of Chilchilyang, that a fleet learning its admiral had fallen mid-battle would break. He chose the win over the funeral. But here is what most retellings leave out. During the chaos of Noryang, Kanishi Yukinaga slipped his garrison out of Uijo, past the reduced blockade, and sailed east. He reached Busan. He got home. The battle you won killed the war, but it did not kill the man who had started the diplomatic fire. What happened next changed East Asia for centuries. Noryang was the last major engagement of the Imjin War. Within days, every remaining Japanese unit was evacuating. By January 1599, the peninsula was clear of Japanese forces. 7 years of war over. The strategic consequences reshaped 3 empires. Japan, Hideyoshi's dynasty was already fragile. His son Hideyori was 5 years old. The commanders returning from Korea, Kanishi, Shimazu, Kato, Kuroda, were exhausted, resentful, and split. 2 years later, at Sekigahara in October 1600, those same commanders would tear each other apart. Kanishi was executed. The Tokugawa shogunate emerged. And within a generation, the Tokugawa would seal the country under Sakoku, a policy of near-total isolation that would last 260 years. Korea taught Japan that overseas invasion was a way to lose the shogunate. They would not try again until 1894, Ming China. Wanli Emperor's Korean campaign had cost the Ming treasury an estimated 26 million taels of silver, a figure recorded in later Ming financial audits, and drained resources at the exact moment the Manchus were rising in the northeast. Many historians, including modern scholars like Kenneth Swope, argue that the Imjin War directly weakened the Ming enough to accelerate their collapse in 1644. In that sense, one bullet in the Noryang Strait bought the Manchus their empire. Korea, Yi Sun-sin was posthumously promoted, deified in popular memory, and given the title Cheongmugong, Duke of Loyalty and Warfare. In modern Korea, he ranks with King Sejong as one of the 2 most revered historical figures. His flagship's design, the turtle ship, became a national symbol. British Admiral George Alexander Ballard, writing in the 1920s, compared him directly to Horatio Nelson, and argued that Yi may have been the more remarkable commander, because he built his fleet, his tactics, and his doctrine from almost nothing, against political enemies at home, in a country with no naval tradition on the scale he built, and the tactical lessons. Noryang is studied today in naval academies from Annapolis to Etajima as a case study in 3 things. Concentration of force against a numerically superior but strategically disorganized enemy. The use of terrain, the strait, the cove, the tides to negate an enemy's numbers. And the principle of continuity of command through concealment when the alternative is collapse. One admiral, one musket ball. 7 years of war closed inside a single night in a strait fewer than 1,000 meters wide. CTA 1213 Min. If you made it this far, you already understand something most viewers never will, that the great battles are not decided by fleets. They are decided by a single commander refusing a bribe, refusing to break, refusing to announce his own death. If you want more battles like this, the ones the textbooks skim over and the strategists study for centuries, subscribe to WarDossier and hit the bell icon. New battle every Wednesday. Drop in the comments who was the greater Admiral Yi Sun Sin or Horatio Nelson. I want the case, not just the name. Outro 1315 Min. The lesson of Noryang is not that one man can win a war alone. It is the opposite. Yi Sun Sin fought Noryang with a Ming fleet twice his size beside him, a nephew who could wear his armor, a drummer's rhythm that outlived him by hours. He built the discipline that made the concealment possible. He built the trust that made Chen Lin push into the cove at his signal. The bullet found the admiral. The fleet he had shaped kept fighting without him. Every empire's turning point looks the same. Someone refuses the easy exit. Someone pays for it. Someone else inherits the world it built. If this one hit, my video on the Battle of Myeongyang, the 13 ships that beat 133 in a tidal strait 1 year before Noryang, will blow your mind. It is the fight that made Noryang possible. That video is next in the queue. On November 19, 1598, the Battle of Noryang ended the 7-year Imjin War between Japan, Ming China, and Joseon Korea. Admiral Yi Sun Sin and Ming Admiral Chen Lin ambushed a Japanese relief fleet of roughly 500 warships under Shimazu Yashihiro in the narrow Noryang Strait, off the southern coast of Korea. In a night-into-dawn engagement fought with cannon, fire arrows, and boarding actions, the Allied fleet destroyed or captured around 300 Japanese ships. During the pursuit, Yi Sun Sin was struck by a musket ball and killed, but ordered his death concealed until the battle was won. This is the story of the decision that ended a war, the admiral who won by dying, and how one bullet in a Korean strait reshaped Japan, China, and Korea for centuries. 0-0, 0-0, the order whispered on a dying deck. 0-0. 45, a 7-year war. Korea should not have survived. 0-3. 0-0, the trap at Suncheon and the bribe you refused. 0-6. 0-0, night attack in the Noryang Strait. 0-8. 30, the musket ball and the concealed death. 0-9. 30, what Noryang ended. 3 empires reshaped. 12. 0-0, subscribe for more strategic history. 13. 0-0, the 13 ships that made Noryang possible. Commanders: Yi Sun Sin, Chen Lin, Shimazu Yashihiro, Kanishi Yukinaga. Location: Noryang Strait, off Namhe Island, Korea. Military history: naval battle, Yi Sun Sin, Imjin War. Samurai.